one-on-one live session on YouTube and also on Instagram. And this live session is just to help us understand the step-to-step ways in which you can apply for your building approval and get it. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about the steps ways whereby I can apply for building approval and get it. First of all, what's a building permit and what's the function of a building permit? One thing we need to know is that it's not only Lagos State that does building permits, right? We have people all over the country doing permit, and it's done in every urban city whereby you have a migration and you have lots of people coming in. It's very, very important that you have a city layout. You have a layout of what the city should look like in terms of building. And today I'm going to be telling you guys ways to quickly get your building approval so that you can avoid your property or your home from being demolished. And I'm also going to, in these ways of getting your building approval, I'm also going to make it open to you the reasons why some people's property are getting demolished. I know the most popular thing we hear is they built on a canal, that's why the property is getting demolished, right? But there are other reasons as to other ways or other things that makes a property to be demolished, and today we're going to be talking about it. So let's get started. First of all, a building permit or a building approval is a document, a legal document that you need before you start building. Keyword, before you start building. Mistake number one, a lot of people start building and then they apply for a building approval. It is a common, everybody does this. Don't get it. Building approval even became a new thing right now about 3 to 4 years ago. But before then, everybody was building anywhere. So what's the reason why we have a building approval, right? There are some places that are set up for commercial, residential, and mixed development. And it's very important that we key into those factors when we're building. And it's also important that the structures that go in line with these properties are also correlating with the zonal laws of the property. So let's get started. The first thing you need to have when getting your building approval, you need to have a document to show that you own this property. There are two things you need to take note of. What do you own as per, and who owns the property? What do you own talks about the survey. Like the portion that is staked out for you needs to be measured and registered. You need to have that. So you need to have a registered survey, and then you also need to have a registered document. How do you get your survey registered? Some people get their survey done and that's it. They get their survey done and they do not go to register. There's another part to your survey. Register your survey, and you register your survey at the Attorney General Surveyor's office. That's where you don't let any legal team to get you into any problem, because I've had cases whereby the legal team are the one actually going to submit this thing. It has to be submitted to the General Surveyor's office in order for you to have your portion out. So after you're done registering, what's the next thing you need to do? Basically, you need to get a consultant. This is another thing that people do not know, that is the reason why their documents are being delayed right now. The reason your document is being delayed right now is because when they were looking at your documents, they could not find some other people who are working with you on the project, especially if it's a high rise. If it's a bungalow, yes. But if you're doing a high rise, you need contractors, you need an architect that is also respecting the current laws, because we also have the current laws for Lagos State building. You need an architect that is following the 25-meter setback needs to be observed. So people ask, why do you need to follow these things? Lagos State is experiencing rapid migration right now, right? So if you do not create those expansions, or you do not create this layout with the probability of expanding in the future, you're going to be experiencing what we have right now in the next 4 years in Promax. The expensive houses, the lack of houses, the flooding issue, we're going to be having it. We're going to be having it times 5 if we do not have a proper city layout. And I'm also giving it like a disclaimer for people, the Lagos State Building Summit, the new Epe city that is about to be built. Please let us strictly follow the building approval laws so that we do not experience what we're experiencing right now in this on the island in the new Epe city. I like the fact that Eco Atlantic is already taking measures to do this. Like in Eco Atlantic City, you cannot build anything less than 5 to 7 floors, and this is done because of the availability of land that they have is not a lot. So if we do this and we also like go into enforcing these zonal laws, we're going to have a very good, safe, clean Lagos home available for everybody. So the consulting firms you need an M&M, you need an architecture, you also need a site engineer. You need, in cases where you're doing large project, they need to see the banks that are going to be financing it. Yes. if you're going to be doing a large project, let's take for instance Azuri Tower. We all know that Access Bank is also working with Azuri Tower, so it's easy for them to give them a building approval because they know that they're going to build with the right finances and they're not going to cut corners. Another thing people do not do is that they do not put the bank that is also going to be part of them, that is going to be part of building this property, in their building approval when they're going to submit, and that is very, very important. They need to see the consulting agency, they need to see the M&M, they need to see the architect, they need to see the structural engineers, they need to see the bank people that are also going to be financing this project, and to some large extent they also want to see the agent that is going to be part of this transaction. And when I say agent, they want to see the agency that is going to be helping you sell this home. If you claim that it's going to be a house that is going to be sold to the public, they need to see the agency. They need to make sure that the agency even have their SCUMO in check. Okay, so you were wondering, I submitted my bidding plan for a year now and I haven't gotten it. This might be the things that they're looking at, they're not giving it to you, and they won't be open to telling you this because they would want you to do the right thing. So another thing again you need to take note of is your tax document. Your tax document is very important. Your stability test, your subsoil test is very important. If you're doing high rise, they need to know the capacity that soil can take, the load, the volume of load that project can take. They need to see your soil test, and yes, they're going to be asking. They need to make sure that if you're building a high rise, you have to have exit quarters. A lot of people build apartments without two exit door. That means the door using coming in is the same door using going out. So if there's fire, you do not have an exit. So you see, if Lagos State is looking at your building plan and it's a high rise and you do not have this exit point, it's going to be very difficult for them to approve it for you because you're doing something very dangerous. And let me tell you, the laws are way more strenuous now. Right now, Lagos State is enforcing, I feel like they're on a journey to make sure the state is better by fire, by force, and putting everybody in check. So they are moving around. We currently have a project that we're doing in Lekki Phase 1. I cannot tell you how many times they've come to that project to make sure that we're doing everything right, to make sure we're not cutting corners. So yes, these laws and these tricks that I'm giving to you, Lagos State government is putting their eyes down and ensuring that this thing is being done. So if you follow some of these tricks, so another trick again you need to understand is you need a police and a fire report. You need a safety measure report. You need to give them in full length the precautions and the measures you're going to be doing to ensure that everybody is safe on site. That's another thing people do not do. People just go and submit their tax clearance. They do not submit their fire and police reports. It's very important. Another thing again you need to know is you need to define in clear terms what you're going to be using this property for. Residential, commercial, or mixed. There's a high probability that they are going to demolish your property if you build in a commercial area. If you build your property in a place that is labeled for commercial and now the city is getting so big it needs some expansion, they're going to demolish your property in order to accommodate the city needs because you went to go build a residential property in a place. Even this popular landmark case, right? I just want to also like put a little bit light to it. One of the reasons why the Lagos State government were so easy to demolish that property, apart from the fact that some of the issues that they had, political issues, was the fact that I was also helping to educate the masses back then that any 250 meters close to the water port belongs to the federal government. And that's what I was trying to let people understand. You need to also be in line with your laws that are guiding the state. And it's not just to be in line, you need to understand why, okay? Anything that is 250 square meters close to the seaport belongs to the federal government. And if you're going to be doing any structure there, it's advisable you do removable structures as per convertible structures you can move in. So that's why you see them put like benches. There's no solid structure. There's no solid hotel because anything 250 to the seaport is basically you building in federal property and they have the right to demolish the property. So that's why in the case of landmark, they didn't have much legal backing because they are building 250 meters close, and part of the rules is that you're going to be having convertible and movable structures in those places. So if you're not aware that the 250 meter close to the seaport belongs to the federal government, how would you know that you're not supposed to build that kind of structure around it? And if you're going to be building any structure, it should be probably a cubana that you can move or dismantle when you want to. You're not allowed to have any solid structure close to the seaport. However, you can have such structure in Eco Atlantic City. That's why I like Eco Atlantic City. In the Eco Atlantic City, you can have structures, but the rule is you cannot build. You cannot go to Eco Atlantic and say you want to build a fully detached. It's not allowed. You can't go to Eco Atlantic now and say you want to build a group of terraces. You can't go to Eco Atlantic right now and say you want to build 3 floors. If it's not 5, 7 floors, you're not allowed to build. That's just the rule. And I feel like if now we're moving into the Ekpe city, we need to take strenuous laws in order to accommodate the needs of the city. I'm literally begging Lagos State government to please put the city into a city map whereby you can be able to see where you can build residential. Even if you want to have like suburbs, you can be able to have that. Like this is where fully detached will be. And if you're extremely rich, you can live in the penthouse. Just the same way we have in New York. In New York, the extremely rich people live in the penthouse suite, while every other person struggle with the apartment. I feel like we need to take these laws into consideration if we want to be able to get Lagos State to the next level. So apart from having the specifics to the location that you want to build, knowing if it's residential, commercial, knowing if it's industrial, it's not just residential, commercial. There's some place in Lagos State that is set up for agriculture. And the only way you can know that is by going to the Chief General Surveyor's office and knowing what the city map is. Let me tell you, yeah, when it comes to demolition of property, the Chief General Surveyor has more say than a C of O or a developer or a seller. What is in the surveyor's office that is staked out to be residential, commercial, and mixed is what it is. It's part of the city plan. They did that in case they need expansion and all of that. It's part of the city plan. If you're going to be doing anything, building in places where they do not want you to build, you're going to be attracting a lot of art. Another thing again, you also need to know, because apart from the building laws, you also need to know that there are cases whereby the state might need your property for expansion. It's not just popular in Nigeria, it's popular across different continents. I think there was a case in China where they wanted to construct a road, and the people in that state, they say they're the OGs, they're the original people that own that place, so they refused to move. So the state had to find a way to build a building around there. So you do have it when you want to expand, whereby the state will be asking you to bring out some of your property, but it also comes with a form of compensation that you and the state will agree upon. So thank you so much for watching. I'm just going to give you a summary of things you need to know to get your building approval. Number one, after getting the title document of a property, knowing what you own, who owns what, you also need to know what you own, and that comes in your survey. You need to get a state surveyor to actually measure out what you own, and after that you have to register your survey in the Attorney General's office so he can have it under his map as registered as residential or commercial. The next thing you need to do, you need to map out, do you want this to be a residential property, do you want this to be a commercial property, and also following the zoning laws for residential, commercial, warehouse, agriculture as well. And then the next thing you need to have is you need to have the right team. What are the people that are going to be contributing to the building of this project? The architecture, the M&M, the structural engineer. And then another thing again you need to also do, you need to do your soil sub test and make sure the architect is also building in collaboration with the current laws. And then another thing again we need to do, we need to have our structural drawing, our architectural drawing, observing the setbacks as been stated by the Lagos State. We need to ensure that all the documents, your taxes are paid for. You make sure your land use charge is paid for. Very important. Every documentation, everything you need to be paid for is paid for. And then another thing again, you need to have your fire report. So what are the tricks? Things that people miss is that they don't add the people that are going to be contributing to this project. Another thing that would give you an exceptional or make your building approval come up as if you let them know that once this project is done, there are people that's going to sell it out quickly. If you let them know that these are the agency that's also going to be in charge of selling it out, that would also help you secure your building approval. Another thing again you need to also do that people do not do, you need to put in your fire and police report. You need to ensure that the exit, the coming in and the going out of the property is actually well done and well calculated for you. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this episode. I'm going to be trying my best to educate you. I also want you guys to know there's a Lagos State Building Summit that happens every year, whereby it talks about the state layouts and the contribution. It talks about how far Lagos State has gone and where Lagos State is going. I will do my best in the next summit they're doing to try to see if I can make it a live session. I don't know if it's confidential. I don't think it should be confidential. It's something that should be open for the public. So I'm going to be doing my next live session where I'm going to be, talking about more of it. And then tomorrow on our website, we're going to be releasing our structure types project highlight the high rise. Okay, so on our website tomorrow, www.victoriaacreslimited.com, we're going to be releasing a new article where we're going to be talking about highlight the high rise. I'm very passionate about us focusing on vertical structure if we want Lagos State to be what we want it to be. So it's titled Project Highlight the High Rise, and we're going to be highlighting high rise. We're going to be talking about why high rise, the need of why we need to be focused on building vertically. Not only do you sweat out your asset, let's assume you have, like, let's do this simple math. Okay, you have 500 square meters of land, and you, let's say, okay, let's say 1,000 square meters of land. It's way more beneficial for you to build a high rise. Let's say you bought this property for, let's say you bought the land for 200 million, right? And you build a high rise and you have like 5 people in there, right? And you decide to do 5 apartments and you decide to charge to 200,000 alone. Just 5 apartment alone is giving you about 1 billion. If you decide to do 200 million per apartment, and the land. So with a high rise, you spread out your asset more, utilize the land space, you're able to fit in everybody. You don't have people building in canals. We're able to have a central sewage system. We're able to have a central water system. It's easy for you to have a simple, you're not moving into tons of houses, you're just moving into certain properties, and you can easily find a land map that is easy. So that's why we need to focus on making sure we're investing in high rise, right? High rise is very good for Lagos State. This is an island. And another popular case study is New York. New York is also an island as well. If you notice, New York started investing in high rise when they had over 800,000 people in the city, and Lagos is currently sitting at 23 million people. How are we going to be able to utilize the land if everybody's building fully detached on 1,000 square meters that they don't need? So let's project on highlighting the high rise as a progressive solution to building a progressive state. It's very important that Lagos State start looking at itself as an urban city. This is literally the city you can have fast life compared to, and this is like the mega city of Africa in terms of business is coming in and out. We just had Adidas open their flag station in the whole of Africa in Lagos, in Lekki. We just had US Council start building their projects in Atlantic City. So this city is big enough for urbanization. We just need to make sure that we're building right. And another thing about building high rise is one of the pinnacles to show that a city is actually moving towards civilization. One of the places, Dubai, one of the things about Dubai is their high rises. They call them skyscrapers at some point because they're literally scraping the sky. So let's focus on investing in high rise as a solution for Lagos State. And our article that we're going to be releasing tomorrow, I'm going to be giving you some analytical data, factual data that talks about why it's so important for us right now to be looking at vertical structures and not horizontal structure. We can have horizontal structures, we can have fully detached, but only at certain places. Maybe we could have the fully detached at certain places at certain prices, right? But let us focus on building high-rise apartments as a solution for the migration. Imagine instead of 50 people scattering around, 50 people staying in one building, right? Just imagine them staying in one building. It's easy for you to do roads. It's easy for you to do so many things. It's easy for you to see land, for you to be able to make recreational centers. It's just going to be way easy for you to even map the city because it's not like so many people are scattered everywhere. Right, so thank you so much for watching. I did enjoy everybody who partake. If there's any question you want to know, you want to understand, oh my god, a client is actually calling. I gotta go, guys. I actually have to go. Let me just ignore this. A client was actually calling in the middle of it. It's very, very important, but I'll just attend to it like after. So yes. I really do agree we should be building high rise only for now. For now. It's it's not cost effective. Let me not say that. It's actually more expensive to do a high rise. but it's a solution based building. The solution based building for the migration is a solution based building to accommodate everybody. And in my article, I'm going to be highlighting, see, highlight the high rise, sorry. I'm going to be highlighting more why it's so important for us to highlight the high rise. That's what I felt like I was trying to like do something with that name. I don't know if you guys got it, but highlight the high rise. So we're going to be doing project highlight the high rise, and I'm going to be talking about how using structures, building vertical structure is very very important for the progression. Today I just talked about the basic laws you need to know before you go and apply for a building approval as a developer. If you want to have one-on-one session with me whereby you want us to exchange ideas and crack minds together, send us a message, or you could just send me a DM right now. I'm available to attend to all of your needs, and then we could take it up from there. Thank you for watching. I hope on getting investors in your article, can you come up with ways on getting investors? Cool. So right now I'm really really I'm very skeptical about investors getting on board. I feel like I don't want us to sugarcoat this whole real estate things. I feel like if you're an investor, you should be ready to invest into real estate in Lagos. You need to have your minds up. And wait, ways of getting investors. I don't understand this question in a way. Can you come ways of getting investors in your article? Ways of getting investor in the articles of ways of getting investors. I should have actually. So ways of getting investors. There's so many ways to get investors right now. Right now, I'm actually looking at the diaspora investors because right now the property market is actually very affordable for them. For investors that are looking forward to building properties in places high rise and all of those, they have to be ready because high rise is not like an easy thing. Like I said, there are some cases whereby they might need to see your bank certification before. They need to see the bank, the people that are going to be financing this project. They need to know that once you start you can finish in order for them to give you your building approval. So any investor that is coming in now needs to understand that the market is interesting but only for the risk takers. Yeah, the market is interesting, but only for those who are willing to take the risk. That's who the market is interesting for. If you're willing to go to, Chevron and build high rise right now, it's going to take a lot of time. I don't know if the soil test is big enough to occupy the load of what you want to do. But one thing I can assure you for sure is that once you do that structure and it's done, you're going to have tons of investors. High rise right now in Chevron. Just go to Chevron now and do an apartment, 2 to 3 bedroom, because nobody's looking for that fully detached anymore. 2 3 bedroom, and you're gonna make so much money. Like just moving to Chevron because it's not that popular there. Just moving to Chevron with about 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, you're gonna make money easy. Like easy. You take your time, but you're going to make your money easy. So for investors, I'm always advising them to move into the high rise place because you're definitely going to get value. You sweat out your asset. You don't even need to sell the whole thing to make your money back. That it's just the hack. I feel everybody should hop onto. And if you're looking forward to get so in my next article, I think I'll be talking about some marketing styles and techniques that I've noticed over the way that work for realtors. You'll be surprised at what actually works. You'll be surprised at what actually works. So in our next episode, we're going to be talking, apart from the highlight, the high rise, we're also going to be talking about like various way we can work on getting investors and how can you tell what to give an investor. There are some people I go to a property and immediately they know that's what they want. So how can you tell? One thing you need to know is that investors, anything about numbers would get them. For investors, the value is in the numbers, not in the beauty. For an investor, if you want to get an investor, you have to put some number projection. And if you check out our Corinthian residents and our zona quote, most of the projects that I do put a survey in there for people. I would show you an example. I put a survey in most of the reports that I do so that you can have an idea of what you would get either in terms of shortlet or in terms of long-term investment. And you also have an idea of when your investment is going to be ready, when your return on investment is going to come. We do tons of research here. We go around, we ask, we look at the structures, we even advise on the kind of structures that you would do that would give you the audience that you need. So in my next article, I'm going to be as detailed as I can, so you can be able to identify or tell the mind of an investor. One thing you need to know for someone that is looking for a home, proximity is very important. How close is this place to my work and everything? But an investor, how quick can I get my money back? That's so when you're talking to an investor, you have to be throwing in numbers. I can even throw in random numbers. I can throw in numbers like square meters. Anything for numbers. With an investor, you got to throw in numbers. With an investor, you have to be telling them you will get your return on investment if you put it at this amount of fees and with 50% occupancy and in 6 to 7 years